Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. Here to do the season finale for Kingdom Business. This is season 2, episode 8, Song of Joy. So we open up the episode with Denita trying to find the right answers. She makes a phone call to Caesar. He automatically thinks that she is calling him about this lawsuit, and he tells her he is not talking about that. She says that's not why she's calling. She wants him to meet their son. Caesar thinks something is up with that, and he's like, why now? She claims she's had a change of heart and feels that this is the right thing to do. So she tells Caesar no matter what he decides, she's invited him to Taj's wedding and she hoped that he'll see him there. She tells Caesar the guy's name, and we finally get to hear it for the first time. His name is Elijah. So Caesar tells her, look, this doesn't change anything. And she says, I'm hoping that this changes everything. So after she hangs up with Caesar, she makes another phone call, and apparently she called Dwayne. He comes over and they're talking, and she's explaining to him how it was just so natural for her to just tell one lie after another, and how she asked the Lord to give her a clean, pure heart. And apparently he answered her prayers. She says she has this peace over her now that she hasn't felt in a long time, and she is grateful for it. So Dwayne says he wants to hear you sing, and Denita was worried about her high notes. So Dwayne, he tells her, just sing from your heart. Baby, Denita started getting into it. You could tell she was feeling it. She had tears running down her face. By the time she got to that last, to God be the glory, she hit her high note. And I was like, yes, Lord, Denita has her voice back. So at the end of episode 7, we saw Rebel leaving Kingdom Records and Dex pulling up on her with a gun, making her get in his car, basically kidnapping her. So here we are in this episode. Come to find out, he is holding Rebel hostage along with Detective Parker. So Dex, he makes a phone call to Chief Ray, and he has to set this laptop up that has the camera on it. It's facing the girls. He throws the phone on the ground so that it's on speakerphone for Chief Ray to be able to hear what's going on while he's watching them on the computer. So he's asking Detective Parker, like, what was she looking for when she was fumbling through the files at work concerning Raven's case. So Detective Parker told them that Rebel was Raven's daughter, and she asked her to check into some things for personal items of her mom, and she did it as a favor for her. So he then goes over there to Rebel and threatened her with the gun, wanting to know exactly what was given to her out of those files. Did she see Detective Parker talking to any other officers? Has she told anyone else about all of this? And Rebel was like, no, Dex, like, why are you doing this? Like, I don't have a problem with you. He told her to shut up. Detective Parker told Dex, look, you don't have to do this. We can make a deal and I'll get you protected. So Dex, he goes back over there to the computer to look at Chief Ray's face because they're still talking on the cell phone. So he wants to know, what did he think? Does he believe Detective Parker? He says, no, I don't believe her. I don't trust her. She's up to something. But he does say if she was talking to any other police officers, he would have already heard about it. And then he says that they have to put a stop to it. Dex wanted to know, well, what about Rebel? Chief Ray was like, do you think she'll keep her mouth closed? And Dex tells him, I'm sure I can see to it that she does just that. So Chief Ray says, do it. So baby, Dex goes over there and he shoots Detective Parker at least like 3 times. Then he jacks Rebel up and put the gun to her chin. And she's like, you don't have to do this. And he says, well, that'll be all up to you. So Dex basically told her she needed to get out of Dodge, move far away, forget any of this ever happened. He didn't care what she told anybody, long as they believe why she left. So he started rambling off names, telling her Taj Jordan, Caesar Jones, Linda Jackson, like basically threatening their lives if she doesn't do what he says. And I'm wondering, how was he able to associate all these people with Rebel and feels like she has this deep connection to where she would care about their lives? Like, how do you know all of that, Dex? But we finally got the name of the lady, Linda Jackson. I guess that's the older lady from the detention center she's always talking to. I mean, how Dex know that is beyond me. But anyway, so of course she agrees to his demands. He then goes and puts some plastic over Detective Parker's body as Chief Ray looks on in approval, he decides the job was done, so he closes his laptop. So Chief Ray, he then makes a phone call. And who does he call? None other than Darlene, Denita's mama. So he tells her that the job is done, and I'm like, oh my God. We just started the episode and we already into the drama. I'm loving it. So she wanted to know, did Detective Parker suffer? And he told her no, it went quick. So she got emotional and she started making it seem like all that they've done, the guilt is really weighing heavy on her heart. And she's like, 3 souls have been lost. And she names off Raven, Danny, and now Detective Parker. So apparently these two have conspired and unalive these 3 people for whatever reason. Now, mind you, we do know that Chief Ray's phone is tapped while they're, talking about all of this. So they thank each other for being kind to one another over the years and her helping him back in the day when he was in trouble. He'll never forget it, all this and that. And she ends up telling him, I'll see you at the wedding, Ray. So we see Taj at Redeeming Records and he's actually rehearsing singing his vows at the wedding, as requested by Essence. Caesar and Jewel, they come in and Caesar's looking for Rebel, but nobody has heard from her. He wants to let her know that Erica Campbell reached out and she now has a spot for her on the tour. So we get a quick scene with Denita telling CJ that she's been doing a great job putting the show together and let her know the songs that she wanted to sing, that she wanted to do God Be the Glory, and also the song that CJ wrote that her and Todd sang together, and she wants to make it a family song. So back over there at Redeeming Records, Taj, he runs into Rebel, and he lets her know that Caesar's been looking for her, and she says she knows. She's been meaning to call him back. And Taj lets her know that Erica may have a spot for her on the tour. So he wants to know, is she okay? And she says she's just tired and thinking about doing some traveling and taking a break. And it was in this moment for me, I was wondering, why was Rebel still in town anyway? Like, after dealing with Dex and seeing what he did to Detective Parker, girl, you should have already been gone. So she gave him a thank you and farewell gift and told him that he saw something in her when nobody else did, and he believed in her even when she let him down. And of course, he told her, you never let me down. So the actual gift was a song from her mom's album, which is called Song of Joy, which is the title of this episode. And she said she always wanted to cover the song and she wanted him to produce it. But of course, we know he told her he couldn't work with her anymore. So she's giving it to him as a gift. So she tries to leave for like the 10th time and he stops her again and tells her that he wants to hear it from her. So of course, now they have to perform the song. So fast forward. It's now the day of the wedding and we see CJ with Essence. She has this big baby bump now and they're preparing, getting everything set up before the ceremony. The colors are nice. It is really beautiful, like a pretty lavender, and I should think off-white. Could be white, but it's Essence, so I'm just going to say off-white. We see all the different guests start rolling in. They're making sure no one has a weapon, so they're scanning, buzzing them in. So CJ, she goes in there to talk to Taj and give him the gift that she suggested to him about blowing up the sonogram as a gift to Essence and putting it in the baby's nursery. So Taj, he was excited for the gift. So as CJ was getting ready to leave, he kind of stopped her and was like, I hope that you're okay with Malcolm still being my best man, because I had already asked him before the two of you separated. CJ told him that it was cool and that Malcolm agreed to go to couples counseling. So Taj, he gave her the side eye and asked her, was she sure this is something she want to do? And she said, we'll see. So they had their cute sister-brother moment and she left because she didn't want to start crying tears of joy. So we see Darlene and Denita, and Darlene is over there clowning the wedding cake, saying how it looks non-edible. So Denita asked where her dad was at, and her mom was like, well, if you would be taking my calls, you'll know that the doctor said that he couldn't travel. And she wanted to know, was he okay? And Darlene casually says, oh, he had a stroke. Like, that's something that just happens every day. And Denita, like, a stroke? So she said he'll be all right, but she says it's her fault because she told him what Denita had done and talked about what the lawyer saying that it was not legal or whatever, but she's going to take the high road. But she apologized for how they ended the last time they saw each other and asked where her grandson was. So Denita was like, which one, Taj or the oldest one? Because I know you lied to me about him dying. And Darlene standing there looking baffled, like, what are you talking about? She said, look, I'll introduce you to him after he meets Caesar. And Denita walked off, leaving Darlene standing there looking crazy. As more guests arrive, we see Calvin greeting Chief Ray, and he claims he wouldn't miss it for the world because Taj is like family to him, so he say. He then wanted to know what was up with all the extra security and why they were taking the phones, and Calvin said it was something to do with Essence being a celebrity, and she wanted to curate all of her content. Jack Peterman, he comes in, Calvin greets him as well, and basically just lining them all up. So Denita, she introduces Elijah to Caesar. So Caesar, he hugs him. So the two of them, they sit down, and neither one of them know anything about the other one. So Caesar says, let's start from the beginning. So Elijah goes to tell him how he was raised by some missionaries in Nigeria. And Caesar was like, hold on, give me a moment. So he walks into another room, and I couldn't tell if it was because he was just overwhelmed by, just meeting this guy and this is really happening, or did he feel like it was a bunch of BS? I really couldn't tell. So when he walked back in, he was like, well, tell me more about the music in Nigeria and can you sing? I mean, already ready to put the man on the label. So then we see Rebel. She's on the phone talking to someone and acting all frantic, saying she wasn't invited. That doesn't mean she shouldn't be there. She feels like she's emotionally invested. And whoever she's talking to, she promises them that she's not going to do anything dumb. So we go back over there to the wedding and we see Taj looking at the picture of the sonogram that got blown up. So he pulls out the one that he carries on him and he notices there's a difference. So Malcolm comes in to let Taj know that he has like 5 minutes before the ceremony starts. And Taj says, look, Malcolm, I need your medical expertise real quick. So he points to the 20 weeks that's on the blowed up sonogram and asks him how accurate that was. And he tells him it's absolutely accurate and it lets you know the date of conception. Taj wanted to know why wasn't it on the smaller one that he carries on him, and Malcolm just dismissed it and said maybe somebody trimmed it off. There was a real quick scene between Malcolm and CJ where he tried to compliment her on always being good with kids, and she dismissed him saying, I thought you were supposed to be getting Tajed. And it was real icy. I didn't get it. You guys were supposed to be working it out, but CJ was real cold. So Taj, he goes in there to see Essence, and she's all giddy, like, oh, you're not supposed to be seeing me. And he says, look, is there something you want to tell me about this? And she sees the blown up sonogram, and she's, kind of taken aback, like, oh, where did you get that? So he tells her, and he says, look, this says 20 weeks ago. We didn't have sex 20 weeks ago. And she's trying to play it off like, oh, really? Like, how do you remember that? I don't. And Taj, as we remember, was not having sex at all. So Taj said, because that's the night that changed my life. He even tried to give her a chance. He said, maybe this is all one big mistake. We can go and get another one done. And she's sitting there not saying a word. So he was like, Essence, is this my child? She's sitting there shaking in her boots, sitting silent. And then he says, Essence, she jumped, I jumped. Is this my child? And she tells him no. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh Lord, whose baby is it, Essence? Who is the real dad to this child? We all want to know. So Taj is visibly upset. He is blinking, looking like he about to have a heart attack. So she has the nerve to ask him what was she supposed to do. And he said, tell me the truth. She says, everybody is not you. And he said, look, I fell in love with the idea of this being my child and to find out that it's all a lie. He's upset. And she's saying like, oh, we weren't even, serious at that time. And she just fell in love with him. I'm like, girl, stop. Just stop it. So she's profusely apologizing. She says to him, nobody has to know. And he said, I'll know. And he stormed off. So while all this is going on, the wedding party is becoming impatient because now what is the holdup? What's going on? So Denita decides she's going to entertain the crowd and sing. As she's doing that, here comes Darlene to join in like they're a duet. But the crowd was loving him. It was a little cute moment. Darlene is a whole trip. So Essence, she really thinks she is dealing with Boo Boo the Fool. So she goes and bams on Taj's door. And he opens the door. He's been crying. He's still, of course, very upset. So she's like, look, your mom has done this and that to you. Your dad has even done this and that, and you forgiven them. Why can't you forgive me? So with a trembling voice, he grabs her hands and he says, look, I can forgive you. I have forgiven you. I just can't marry you. And he walked off, left her there with her mouth wide open. And as the saying goes, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So Taj, he goes out and he addresses the guests and lets them know there will be no wedding, there will be no marriage. He basically just asks for prayers for him, in essence, saying that they need them now more than ever. So in the crowd, you see Calvin send a text message to someone and it says now. So while all of that is going on, we got manipulating Essence in there trying to muster up some hyperventilating tears, and got on her live in front of her fans and told them, unfortunately, she will not be getting married because she just found out some heartbreaking news that her fiance was cheating with a stripper, and told them that she will not allow someone to take what is meant for her. So she is officially heading into fatal attraction status, knowing that Taj is getting ready to be with Rebel. She is going to be a thorn in their side. Girl, move on. Taj will never be with you ever again. Baby, it's a lot going on in this finale. So the GBI is raiding the entire wedding party. Everyone that Calvin invited, they are lining them up, arresting them. All of a sudden, we see Rebel. Taj was looking like, thank you, Jesus, and Denita was looking like, what the hell? And then one of the shockers, all of a sudden, walking in the door is Detective Parker. Now, we thought Detective Parker was a goner and unalived by Dex in the warehouse. So they give us a flashback scene showing us that Dax was working with the GBI to set Ray up. So when Ray sees Detective Parker, of course, he's a little shook. So she goes straight to him and lets him know he's being arrested for the murder of Raven, Danny, and Ezra. So he mumbles to her, this is not over. Then Rebel gets her licked back and give him a good knee to the groin and tells him she hopes he rots in hell. So Taj asks Calvin what is this all about. When he sees him and Raven giving each other the eye contact, Calvin tells him justice. Then baby, they arrest Darlene for the murder of Raven and Danny. And Denita's on the sideline like, no, mama, tell them that's not true. They're wrong. This is impossible. So they done carted Darlene off. And Calvin tells Denita, look, they needed my help. It's all true. And she tells him, I'm done. And she storms off. So after all of the shenanigans, a week has gone by, and now we see Calvin at this police press conference addressing the media. I wasn't real sure why Calvin was leading the press conference, but when it was all said and done, he announced that he was running for mayor. And Detective Parker and the other people were looking at him like they could not believe he just did that. So was Calvin playing chess this whole time and all this was one big power move? And where was Danny's parents? Why didn't they address Calvin? He did give them what they wanted. They asked for names. He provided the names and got justice. It's a wonder Caesar gets any work done because every time you turn around, he is glued to his TV or computer watching Denita. So we see her getting ready to do her Denita and Friends special and getting ready to sing with Taj and CJ, and Caesar's over there stalking in his usual trance. So Denita, Taj, and CJ, they start singing in their green. They look really nice. They sound good, singing a song that CJ wrote, We Family. So they show Caesar still watching the broadcast as if he wants to be part of the family when he gets a phone call from his attorney, Vi, and he says, is that right? And he gets his coat and leaves. So Taj, he goes to Rebel's house and she asks him, well, how are you doing? He says his life is pretty confusing and he does not know where he fits in. And he asked her, does she still planning on leaving town? She told him no, she has everything she needs right here. And Taj basically went and got his woman, period. And they embrace, they give their long-awaited kiss that a lot of fans have been waiting for. So Caesar, he goes over to Kingdom Business, and apparently when Vi called, she let him know that he won the lawsuit. So he is there to stake his claim, letting Denita know he is taking over ownership. And apparently she already knew that because she was like, oh, you couldn't wait. And it looks like the office is already cleaned out anyway. So Caesar tells her that she brought all this on herself and said something about he owns her contract and he already has her penciled in to do a song with Rebel. So she jumps up and gets in his face and scowls and let him know it'll be a cold day in hell before that happens, and tells him this is not over. And she leaves. For some reason, I feel like Caesar taking over ownership is going to be more problems for him than what he already has gone on his own. Like, for one, I thought Kingdom Business was already in financial ruin. So does he not assume that debt? And also, even with Darlene and Jeremiah, with all their antics over the years, would any of that come back to haunt him as the new owner? And baby, we get to the last scene of the episode. We hear someone on the phone talking. They're saying that 100% they think that I'm their son. And it's Elijah without the Nigerian accent. Come to find out, this man has been plotting and planning, scheming and scamming. And that was the end of the episode. Ooh, child. That was a great season finale. It was a lot going on. We got Darlene getting arrested. What is going to happen to Jeremiah? He over there sickly as it is. Where is Xavier? Is he coming back to try to disrupt what's going on between Rebel and Taj? We already know that Essence says she going to claim what's hers, but she need to go sit down somewhere. We don't need no more Glenn Close fatal attractions running around. But I'm most intrigued to know, who is Elijah? I'm sure that's not his real name, but who sent you, sir? Why are you here? How did you find Denita? And who provided you with all her information to be able to play in her face like that? Inquiring minds want to know. It just was a lot going on. What did you guys think of the episode? What did you think about the season as a whole? Overall, I did like the season, and I really do hope that they get a season 3. But until then, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.